Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Holden Sherman's Conversations. This one's going to be a little bit different. I made a technical mistake. I interviewed University of Florida journalism student Jada Ross on what it's like to cover the national championship game, but I accidentally recorded just her side of the viewing and not me asking any questions. So it's a straight shot of just her talking the whole time. So I tried to re-record my part and try to make it as cohesive as possible. It wasn't working, and one of the main tenets of this podcast is to create genuine, true environments for conversations. And by doing that, by doing a re-recording, I wouldn't be doing that. So I'm just gonna run the conversation I had with Jada like it was. There's some B-roll on top of it. There will still be the graphics, but you're not gonna see me in any of it. You're gonna hear me, but you're not gonna see me in any of it. Just wanted to make that very clear to all the viewers. Now, I just want to give everyone as clear transparency as what was going on with this episode as possible. I hope everyone enjoys it, and this was really one of my favorite conversations I've had so far. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Holden Sherman's Conversations. Today, I have Jada Ross with me here. Jada is a sophomore, or just finished up her sophomore year at the University of Florida. And despite just being 2 years into college, Jada has already covered the US Open, been at the NBA Paris Games back in January, and most recently covered the Florida Gators win the national championship. Jada, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. First question, what was it like covering your team win the Natty?
I think it was so surreal. I knew that we were playing well and we were at the Final Four, and I got to cover that part as well. And um, just seeing us win the national championship, the energy in the stadium, because we played in an arena inside, it was incredible. I think all of the fans were great, and then just seeing like the reaction from the team. I've covered them the throughout the season, and so just getting to see them win as well was so surreal, and having that experience was like incredible.
How did it compare to like your other cool experiences you've had already?
I think it was this one was a little bit different because I got to watch my own school win the national championship. It just felt a little bit more like I had a connection to it, which is amazing. And I had covered the Golf US Open, and that one I feel like I really grew career wise, and like I felt like I was kind of capable, and I was getting my foot in the door, and that was just after my freshman year of college. And so that was kind of the first major tournament that I had ever covered. And so I talked to a lot of journalists there, and I like tried to just kind of get my foot in the door, figure out what I was doing and how to properly cover. And so I think it prepared me for being able to cover this one, because there's so many journalists there and broadcasters and just famous people in the media world as well. So I felt a lot more confident and capable going into the national championship and covering that because of the experiences I have had.
It's also like important to I've had conversations in my previous episodes about this, like realizing that you're a student, but also that you have a job to do. I think the student part is
Yes.
very important because everyone's going to go into these media rooms and notice that, oh, this person is clearly a student or they're the youngest in the room. So I think it's like a balance of like taking what you're doing seriously, but also acknowledging, look, like the elephant in the room is that I'm very young. And so
Yeah.
it's okay to go up to people. Don't you agree? There's kind of this healthy balance that really benefits, aspiring media people.
Absolutely. I think it's easier coming in as a student journalist, because I think, just like you said, people are very aware that you're younger and very aware that you're a student. And so they're a little bit more open to talking to you about things, and it's not coming off as, like a fan or unprofessional whatsoever. And so I think people are a lot more open. It's also interesting coming in as a student journalist, the University of Florida, because the it's so hard not to cheer. And that was something that like I realized covering this tournament is like you want to cheer so bad, like you are here for your team, but at the same time you have a level of professionalism that you
Yeah.
have to keep as well. And so I spent a lot of time like touching my friends, like it's like, because you can't react on your face. Like I'm just gonna scream now and like my reaction. And so it's an interesting balance. And it's hard to tell. It's like, I'm here covering the US for a reason, but like, well, you have to um, keep that balance really well.
Yeah, there was a lot made of a lot of Florida students how they were covering
Yeah.
how they were covering the tournament. what was your approach to that? I saw some of the work that you've done, but overall, what was like your mental attack to it? Because it is true, you're a student too, right? I
Yeah.
don't cover I covered Q's games my freshman and sophomore year. Now I don't. Um, I'd be lying if like it's definitely shaded. So how did you keep that level of objectivity doing your job, but also like being a student?
I think I looked at people around me a lot of the time, the other journalists and media people there, and I saw how they were very professional, and I didn't want to stand out as a student journalist, even though I very clearly was one. I didn't want to look unprofessional. I didn't want to be like, oh, like here's this girl over there, like she doesn't know what she's doing. She's
Yeah.
like fangirling or any of that stuff, and you just have to kind of treat it like any other tournament that you're covering. And so that's kind of what I tried to do is just remain as professional as possible and still be excited, especially when I came into the locker room. The energy was at the end of like as soon as we won, the energy was so high. I think I have some videos on Twitter or something too, just like we're blasting music.
Yeah.
Ruben comes out with like a cigar and he's like smoking it, just like it's the energy was so high in there. So I felt like I could finally be a little bit more excited. At the same time, I came back to school and everyone's riding on this national championship high still. Like Monday and Tuesday, people were like, why our class is not canceled and all of this. And for me, I realized though, it still hadn't sunk in that like we had won and that because I hadn't had the chance to celebrate and be excited, whereas everybody else was out, on University Avenue, like right at all of like the college bars and stuff, and we're celebrating, and I hadn't gotten the experience to really like let it sink in and let myself celebrate it because like I didn't get to cheer and I had to cover it as a journalist. I wasn't there as a fan.
That's a good thing though. That means you're doing your job.
Exactly, exactly.
It is hard though, and it's very important. And this is especially relevant, like I said, to how it was responded on social media, how a lot of University of Florida students were covering it.
Yes.
The media landscape has changed so much. So I understand like objectivity is important, but you have to make a name for yourself one way or the other. And I'm not trying to say that every way that people do that is ethical. There's a lot of clickbait out there. There's a lot of propaganda, this and that, whatever. But it is a different media landscape. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be a traditional reporter. That's why I'm talking to you right now.
Yeah.
So we have to be, and I mean we, just all aspiring media people, have to be very innovative in the way that they go about, and in the way we go about making a name for ourselves. Because a lot of ways, it's just sometimes it's about clicks, getting people's attention, and then you go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there is a difference though. And I have certainly seen some people kind of blur that line of like wanting to make a name for yourself, but then also like wanting to be an influencer with it too. I've talked to some people, just some of my like own contacts
Yeah.
recently, and they were very wary about trying to cross over into that influencer category and making a name for yourself in that way. A lot of them were saying like you just need to be there, you just need to like make that name for yourself first, and like the following will come after if that's the kind of what you wanted, like your goal is, I guess. But in a sense, like that, the influencer status, especially with like sports journalism wise, it's like that's like not actually your job. And I think a lot of times when you focus in on that, just even with friends and coworkers I've talked to, you rise really fast, but then you can also fall really hard, especially if you're
100%.
not using the platform that you have professionally and appropriately as well. And it's hard to balance that as well, but it's also important to remember. Otherwise, you're known as Jada Ross, the influencer who like sometimes interviews these players instead of like professionally known as like a journalist who like also has a following on the side.
What route do you care more about? Like, what do you truly want to be?
I want to be a reporter. I want to stay as a journalist. I do not want to go down that influencer path whatsoever. I think it's really fun to, post some of like the videos I
Yeah.
have and things that like I do because I think my job is so cool. Like I love it, and so it comes naturally to be like, oh, like I want to post the videos, and I've had a couple of things that have like blown up or gained some traction recently, but like my goal is not to do that whatsoever, especially I think if your mindset is coming in like, oh, I want to work in sports, I want to work in sports media, but like I'm really only doing it like for the like namesake or just to say I do it, like that's not a good enough reason in my head to go into this industry. It's really hard, it's really cutthroat and competitive,
Yeah.
and you're end up having a bad like rap, bad name for yourself instead of a good one, if that's kind of the route that you're taking, in my opinion.
No, for sure. And I will say with posting kind of the behind the scenes of the behind the scenes, because journalists are all about showing behind the scenes, I think you actually add a level of transparency to the consumer, to the viewer. To like
Mhm.
by doing that, you're giving people more transparency. I feel like
Yes.
journalists aren't meant to be gatekeepers of the truth. They're meant to be the people who get the information out from people. So a lot
Exactly.
of reporters I follow um, online, they do the same thing, and I think that's a very important thing to do because I interned at my local Fox station this past summer, and one of my mentors, who's a reporter there, he says like I try to dress down when I'm out in public, just a collared shirt, because I want to show that I'm approachable. I don't want to look like I'm above people. And I think
Yeah.
that is a very important element. You want to, in my opinion, I feel like it's very important to be people that people you could sit down and have a coffee with, and it's not a big deal. There's not this like level of intimidation. So any way that anyone who's disseminating media can break that barrier, I think is very important.
Yeah, it's an aspect of human connection as well. And
Yeah,
I think that's the thing, reporters, like, it's really good to have that where you feel like you can talk to this person or you can reach out and it can seem intimidating even for journalists, like student journalists like
yeah,
ourselves too, of like wanting to reach out to these people because it's like, well, like, I don't know, are they gonna even respond or is it like, so are they someone approachable? Are they someone that's gonna want to talk to me? And so having that level of like, no, like I'm not above you. Like I'm doing the same exact thing as you, and I'm here. I can help you, and I can talk with you. It is that human connection of like I see you, and I also for the viewers like I trust you, and you're
yeah,
credible.
yeah. And there's no gatekeeping. I want to go back to what you were
Yes,
saying about how this industry is tough. Breaking news,
yes.
pun intended. Um, how have you stayed resilient so far with not just getting jobs but also with getting opportunities? Because I don't care if you're you're Joe Buck, you're Noah Eagle. It doesn't matter who you are. It's a tough industry, and whether you have all the nepotism, connections, money in the world, it doesn't always work out that way. How have you stayed resilient? I mean, I know you just finished your sophomore year, and look, I'm young too, but how have you stayed resilient so far with opportunities?
I think it's really interesting to be completely transparent. I did get an internship this summer. I applied to probably 75 different internships and I got a couple of second rounds back and I didn't make it past those. And so, again, to be completely honest, it was a little bit disheartening because I was like, I've
Yeah,
done, and not in like an ego way at all, but just like, I know I'm capable. I know I've done so much too. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong that like, I'm not getting an internship and stuff. And so I have a couple of other programs that I'm going to do. I had stuff with the Jaguars and something in New York City. But um, for just in general, getting opportunities and experiences and jobs and things, I think I have to remember that I am young and it starts now. And so everything that I can do and everything I see and every opportunity that comes up, like I apply for. And I also make my name very known in the journalism school at UF. I will go in and go talk to my professors and say, hey, like I see this thing is coming up. Like, if you need somebody for it, like, let me know. And then even I covered our spring football game, and I went into my boss's office and I said, I know it's a month away. They'll have spring break in between also, but like, keep my name out there, like, or in there. Like, I want to help cover the game again. I did it freshman year. Like, I want to do it again. Like, if you need somebody, think of me. And so I just kind of like put my name out there for different opportunities. I also ask around a lot of like what opportunities are coming up, and so I also know I'm not going to get every single thing that I apply for. I've had a couple of shutdowns this year, just working social media team wise for ESPN Gainesville and other things, and it's like, oh, like this is disheartening, but I have to remember like I'm young and I have time and I'm doing so many other things. So like whatever else, if that door closes, I didn't get this position or this opportunity for a reason. There's another door that's going to open, and there's a reason I didn't get the other one. Either it's not enough time or just it's not going to be a good environment. Like I try to stay very positive about everything because it is so competitive. I know you're not going to get every opportunity that you go for. That's just life, and so it especially pertains to this industry.
yeah, and especially the sports element too. How did that
Yeah.
mindset of just being resilient and being persistent help you get this gig? I mean, you got to go cover the Natty. Like, let's not
Yeah.
downplay that. How did you get there?
It's really funny because I was originally supposed to go cover the Sweet 16 and Elite Eight for our WUFT, which is UF's news station. And so I'm a sports anchor for that. I don't know if I said that. But I originally was supposed to go cover that in San Francisco. I was actually on spring break still. I stayed an extra week on spring break. And I got a text from my boss that I was going to Sweet 16 and Elite Eight. And I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I can't, I don't think I can go, but like, I will take a flight back from Spain right now. Like,
You were in
I will
Spain?
be there. If you need me there. Yes. I was like, if you need me there, like, I will go. I'll be there. And he was really nice about it. Like, no, like, don't worry. Like, time is coming. Like, we're gonna find a way to get you like doing this. Like there are so many opportunities that are gonna come up for you. Like it's okay. Enjoy your family time. I was honestly
Yeah.
devastated. I kept telling my mom, I was like, I like I'll take a plane right now, like I'll go. And so I ended up getting back from that and he sent out my boss sent out an application and he said, hey, like want everyone who's interested in covering the national championship and Final Four, like you need to like send me your resume and send me kind of like your content ideas. And so I went through and I submitted all of that. And I had been talking, been like, I would love to cover for the national championship. And he's like, if we have the opportunity, like we'll send you. And so I submitted everything and I think I wrote like, oh no, like 2 pages long of content ideas. I was like, I'm putting everything out there. And I got a text from him a couple days later, and he had said, like, congratulations, you're going. And I was so excited. And it's just another example of like when the doors closed and open. If I
Yeah.
hadn't been on spring break still, I would have been going and covering Sweet 16 and Elite Eight in San Francisco. And I don't think I would have had the opportunity to go cover the Final Four national championship.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have made sense to send me right
Yeah.
back to back, I don't think. And so it was a great perspective for me. It's like, okay, like it's gonna be okay. Like you didn't get to go to San Francisco, but you're getting to go to the Final Four
Were you
and
like
national
trembling between those 3 days when you submitted your application? You're like, okay, it didn't work out for the Sweet 16 and Elite Eight. Now I have a chance to redeem myself and an even better, like better games. Were you like trembling?
Yes, exactly. I was like, I really hope I get it. Like, I don't know. Like, if I don't get it, I'm gonna be so mad at myself too. And I was like, my mom was like, if you don't get this, I'm never gonna hear the end of it because she was the one that wanted to do 2 weeks instead of 1 week of spring break.
Yeah.
And so I was so nervous. And then I got the text, and I just like felt so much relief.
When you realized you were when you were gonna go cover the Final Four and the Natty, how did you manage the nerves that comes with that?
I think I I didn't think about the nerves a lot of them, pretty much actually. I just was thinking about how excited I was and that this was something that like I had always dreamed of doing. And I didn't take it as like you need to be nervous, you need to be perfect or professional. I just mostly was so excited to have this opportunity. And I was like, I'm just gonna put everything out there and embrace it and get the most out of experience. I think that was more what I was focused on than just being kind of nervous about it. Because, I have experience, covering things. So I wasn't nervous about interviewing or anything. I just was so excited.
Yeah, I mean, um, I feel like I saw like you talked to Alex Condon after the game. You put that on your Instagram. I feel like that's also like where the preparation comes in.
Yeah,
I've
absolutely.
I've heard a lot of journalists. I was hearing Malika Andrews talk about how she manages her nerves, and she was just saying like before a show I might be a little nervous, but then I remember how much work I've done. So it's a kind of like negating that imposter syndrome. Did it help that you weren't the only student there, like from Florida? Did that help that
Yeah.
it felt a little bit more communal? I don't know. I'm just assuming.
Yes, I 1000% think it helped that I wasn't the only one there. It is a little bit nerve-wracking, especially because you don't want to seem too pushy or
Yeah.
anything. But when you're coming together as like a little group, or it's just like there was 4 of us that were sent, and when you're like pairing off 2 and 2, it's like okay, like we'll go talk to this person, you go talk to them. It's a little less intimidating to approach them that way, and then also I felt like our players were really receptive of being like, we know you guys are student journalists and like you're from UF, like you're not like you're pestering us. And sometimes, I think we were in there for like an hour and a half after the national championship.
Yeah.
I kid you not, we didn't leave the Alamo Dome till like 1 a.m. And all the players. I think at a certain point we're like, "Oh, like we're done with the media, like like we want to celebrate." And so, but I think they were very willing to talk to us because of that. It's also funny. My roommate this past year, her brother is Thomas out, and so I am like, yeah, so I'm friends with him, and I'm friends with a lot of players like outside of covering the team as well. And so it's so funny like getting to interview them. So it helped that like my nerves for the most part, like I'm like, okay, like I'm interviewing a friend. But like with Walt, like I didn't know Walt or Will
Yeah.
Richards. Like
And Walt is like really
I've
old,
never
I'm
met
pretty sure.
them. What'd you say?
Walt, isn't he like isn't Walter Clayton like really old too?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he is
so
old.
for
He's also
college
old
sake.
enough.
For college sake.
Yes, for college. And so that was like a little bit different of like, okay, like my nerves here, like, but again, right, like, just relying on preparation and the fact that I do know what I'm talking about. And I might be a student reporter, but that doesn't make me less professional or doesn't make me less worthy of talking to them.
Yeah, and another element too is like uh when you're the age of the players or around the age of the players, um if you were a sophomore, if you're just finished your sophomore year, then there were freshmen that who were who you're
Yeah.
older than. Um, there's an element of like, okay, this I'm literally speaking to someone my age. If you can
Yeah.
like peel back the curtain a little bit, like just like recognizing like, okay, I'm
Yes.
talking to a person, which I think a lot of journalism we've talked about that already, like is about just like pulling back, like just making it as conversational as possible.
Exactly. And just again, remembering your student just like them. And they might have everyone like it being like, oh my gosh, like, and they just won the national championship. And that is the fact. It's like, this is insane. This is crazy. But also remembering like down to earth, like they're regular people just like us. And it comes with interviewing all sorts of people at the US Open. I was interviewing Bryson DeChambeau and like after like he won. And then just like Ludwig Gobert and then Ori and like it's just like couple like a lot of different people and I was like gosh like this feels different because they're professional golfers and they're so much older than me and that's where I think like a lot of my nerves were interviewing them and it's also my first time at like a
Yeah,
major televised tournament covering that but the national championship a little bit easier like, okay like we're students and I felt like into the other locker rooms UF was a lot more active to us I think some of the other locker rooms it was like a little bit more awkward. I'm not sure exactly why that is. Maybe because I knew we were reporting from a different school um, to its core. Yes, we're all students, and we're all about the same age. So yeah,
yeah.
peeling back that layer for sure.
So like that lead up of doing the U.S. Open and then being at the Paris games clearly sounds like it helped a lot.
Yes, I think it absolutely did. Just getting a little bit more experience and my feet in the water a little. I think everyone says it, but just like the more you practice and the more you prepare too, you just feel more confident and like more capable, which is really important, especially being one of the youngest people there for sure. I've had a couple of like weird moments where I look around and like not only am I like the youngest in this room, but I'm also like the only female. Like, and
Yeah,
it's like a weird thing to realize. I'm like, wow, like double whammy.
yeah.
But making sure you're prepared and professional and just doing what you're supposed to be doing, I think it helps things a lot. So you're not intimidated going into the
Is that
conversations.
like very inspiring to be like the only female in the room?
Yeah, I think in a sense it is very inspiring because like this is a male dominated industry that is a
Yeah,
fact
yeah.
and so seeing that like I've made it into these rooms and with these people and it's like okay like I've worked my not fully at all believe me but like I've started to work my way up and it's like I'm getting opportunities and experiences and like this is really cool but it is great to see other females in the room as well and being like okay like we're in this together too so it's like a little bit of balance of inspired but also like what else can we do.
No, no, of course. You have to be crazy to go into media. I don't care.
Yeah.
You have to be crazy. Whether you're a producer working the 1 a.m. to 9 a.m. shift or you're covering a team, like you have to have some level of sicko in you. Everyone does who's in media. What is your sicko and how is that on display when you were covering the Florida Gators?
I think I don't know if this exactly answers the question, but like the adrenaline rush that comes with being a reporter and a journalist, there's something about like I'm on this deadline and I have to finish this article, and then I also have to finish like making this video package, and then I also got to go do my live shot for it and go make sure I get in the locker room and go interview players. Like, and it's like all of this has to be done
Yeah.
within like hours. It's like, how am I going to get this done? And then running to trying to like find live shot locations and like setting all that. And then when you have tech, it sucks when you have technology problems. At the same time, it's like the adrenaline rush and like the scramble, and you're on the phone with your producers, and it's like, I can't get this up, and
And
it's
the
a
IFB is not
scramble.
working.
And what?
And the IFB is not working.
Oh, and IFB's not working, exactly all of the above. And something about it, I don't know why, but I just love the adrenaline rush. I don't think I could be somebody that sits at a desk 9 to 5 whatsoever, and the same thing every single day. And I just love it. I don't know what it is about it. And you probably get this answer a lot
Yeah.
with the adrenaline rush, but it's just something different. And it's something different every single day.
Do you have like a weird perception of time? So I have one of those like Amazon Alexas. Hopefully it doesn't go off right now because I set it to it. But like I when I go to sleep, I like say like set a timer for like 8 hours and 50 minutes. Like instead of like being like set a timer for 9 a.m. Has like being a
Yeah.
journalist like completely messed up your idea of time in a lot of ways because sometimes 3 hours sounds like not that much time, but then I have 20 minutes before my live shot. It's like, oh my God, I have all the time in the world. Is your time perception completely off now?
Yes, I think I've never thought about that actually before, but now that you've mentioned it, I really do think my time is off because I know what I'm capable of producing within a certain amount of time, but it's
Yeah.
like almost less time. I produce more and I produce better
Yeah.
quality. But if you give me like 5 hours to sit down and do a package, I'm like, ah, I have all the time in the world. Like
Yeah.
actually, like I could sit down and like I can chill out a little bit, but then as soon as it comes down, it's like, oh, actually, I have 2.5 hours left. Like I'm on crunch time, and it is skewed. And I think I work. I notice I work a little bit sometimes as well. Just like I'm a perfectionist. I'm very detailed. And so I work a little slower, and I like have to make sure everything's perfect. But then it comes down like the whole beginning is perfect. It comes down to the very end. I'm like, all right, go time. And then like I'm able to still keep like the details going, but it just feels like I'm not able to, and it's that adrenaline rush. I think I probably do this to myself because I get the adrenaline rush.
Yeah. Well, but there's also that element of like 5 hours, 4 hours, 3 hours too. It's gonna get done some way. It just we don't we like anyone who's like it's never gonna look the way we want, but it's gonna get done. So you know what I mean? It's like a long time, 5 hours. Like it's like that's a long time, but it's like as long as you know how to use Premiere or what do you use? Avid? Do you use Premiere?
Premiere,
Okay, yeah.
yeah,
As long as you know to use Premiere, know how to IO, dip to white, dip to black, like it'll get done. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, and as
exactly.
long as you have your SD card, um,
I always say that to my friends, even my friends who are studying for exams. I couldn't do that, but I'm like, it always gets done. In the end, it always gets done, even if it's, right before the due date or deadline. It'll be in. It'll be.
yeah. No, I mean my professors they always say make air, not art. Like
Mm,
in times of rush. Now that's not always what we're trying to achieve, but like it's just like this
sure.
idea, like it'll always get done. 20, 30 years. Jada Ross has the mic.
Mm.
What is she doing with the mic?
I would love to be a reporter for a team, any sort of sports team or organization. I think that's a lot of people's dream goals, but I don't have a specific team or anything like that. I cover a lot of different teams. I love the NBA, NFL, NHL, all of that stuff. So that's the end goal in the end, and maybe one day make it on an anchor desk. But honestly, I don't think I get as much of like a thrill from being on the anchor desk as I do from reporting like out in the field. Like I want to be hands on. I want to do like the part that I'm passionate about, which is like interviewing and talking to people. So
Are there any reporters or any people that uh, you consider role models? Do you know them as well, or like are
yes.
there people you look up to and say I want to be like them, but in Jada Ross's
So
style?
Laura Rutledge went to UF. So she's more on like the anchoring side of things too. But I looked up to her a lot just because I see the path she took at UF and the way she went with things and just kind of like okay, I want to follow what she did. I want to do the ESPN Gainesville stuff. I want to do the sports anchoring stuff and trying to, follow the path. And like, obviously, it's going to be a little different. Aaron Andrews as well. But I think those are people that I look up to. And just again, they're female in the role that have like really worked their way up and like have made a name for themselves and have proved that they're capable and professional.
Does that kind of give you a level of comfort to see other people, like a lot of people at Syracuse who want to go like the traditional reporter path, they really appreciate how a lot of people have done what they've done before, so they don't feel like they're creating rocket science or whatever the expression is. Um, is there a level of comfort in that, knowing that people were in your shoes once and they've done exactly what like something that you'd be really happy doing?
Yeah, exactly. I think it does bring a level of comfort, and then also just knowing that if I needed to talk to them and stuff, we have the kind of a shared commonality of like we
Yeah.
both went to UF, we both did these certain things, and then but there's certain points in times where like your paths diverge, and like you ended up going this way, and then I ended up going this way. Like, how do I get back to you? And like, what did you do? And I think just also like finding out how to combat adversity and like and challenge and getting positions, and also it's a great connection. Laura's come and talked at UF a couple of different times, and I've gotten to hear her speak, and she's so professional. She knows what she's talking about, and she knows what she's doing, and she has really like wise words for us as well. And so she's somebody that I really do look up to. And I follow her on Instagram. I'm always looking at her stuff. And so I tell my mom all the time, like she's gotten to the point like she's bringing her kids to like to these games, and like they're out there like watching her, and it's like that's I think it gives me comfort that like okay, I can do this today.
My last question for you:
Yeah.
are you 20?
And no, I'm turning 20 in July.
Okay, so you're 19 years old. When did you realize you wanted to go into journalism?
I had to have been in eighth grade. That's what it was. I was going and touring different high schools, and it's a really funny story. I was touring high schools, and I was like not sure where I wanted to go. There were a couple of different. I could go public, private, different things. And so I was at one of the schools, and they had a newsroom, and I went in there as with two of my best friends, and we went and we sat down on like at the little news table, just like laughing and like talking and like reading off the teleprompter and stuff. And I had this moment of like, wow, like I like this is really fun. Like I think I could do this one day. And then I took a news class in I believe ninth and 10th grade of high school. And I think that's when it really clicked for me of like this is like something I really want to end up doing. And I had no plan of doing this before. I danced before. I was an actress. Like I was in the musical theater stuff. Like this was a completely like different path. And I was like, wait, like this is something I might do. And my mom had taken a video of me back in eighth grade when I was touring these schools, and it was about 10th grade. And she showed me the video, and she was like, I wrote it down in my notes, like Jada, like could do this, and like she could be like a broadcast reporter for sports or for news, because I've kind of done a little bit of both. And she wrote it down, and like I had called it and been like, this is I think this is like what her calling is. And she has like a video of me, like she just looks like kind of natural up there. And she showed me that, and I was like, that was so funny because I was just thinking I actually wanted to do this for a living. And so I think that's kind of where it mostly clicked. And I had no idea that it would end up going this way at all. And I'm so grateful for it. My younger self never believed it.
Speaking of your younger self, when you're on that teleprompter and your very baby days of realizing this is a path you want to pursue, what is something that you wish you could tell yourself back then that you know now?
I think I would tell myself to just go for every single opportunity that you have, and that is presented to you. My favorite quote that I always say all the time is the answer is always no unless you try. And there's been a lot of things that I've been scared to apply for, or opportunities, or just even with the Golf US Open, I was like, I'm so young and I'm a freshman. There's no way that they would pick me for this whatsoever. And so I like really heavily debated even applying to do this. And my mom was like, why not? And I was just like, I don't think I'm gonna get picked. And she reminded me even of like of the quote I always say. And it's like, okay, like you're right, I might as well go for it. And so there's been so many opportunities and experiences. Just like don't doubt yourself. Just know like even if you're not confident or capable at like, at the present moment, just go for the opportunities and the experiences anyways, and also tell myself like choose UF. I looked
Is this an
at,
ad?
yeah, I would though, because I looked at Syracuse actually, and I looked at Chapel Hill and UF, and those were like my top three. And so I don't know if I had chosen any other school that I would have the opportunity, the experiences that I do now. And UF was my dream school, but even still, I was thinking other options. So I think again, like with that, just like go for every opportunity, and also choose UF.
Well, I'll
Like
definitely say
you
this.
know you want to.
UF is much better at basketball right now than Syracuse could ever be right now. So I'll say that. You got me there.
Yes, yes, but you never know.
Oh, I thought you were
Syracuse
going to
is
say choose
tough.
UF again.
You could.
Thank you so much for your time today, Jada.
Thank you. I'm glad you had me on the show.